Hey folks, so I got my hand on the update and I'm really liking it so far, and I wanted to give you my first impressions. As far as the uniforms go, I think we have two clear winners and two not so clear possible losers. I think Doctor Strange is fantastic. I think it's definitely an upgrade over Death of Doctor Strange, and I think it's an absolutely massive upgrade over Multiverse of Madness. So if you skipped Death of Doctor Strange and you've been rocking Mom, now is the time. We'll talk about how meta he is later on, but I think he is meta at this point, and we'll have to wait and see exactly how meta he is. It may just be a small bump over Magneto, but it seems like he is now going to be the de facto blast villain god. And then for Captain America, same kind of thing. I know that Back to Basics was his most recent uniform, and that was really good for some people. I liked it, but I also called him kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. I think he's better now. I don't really have a better way of describing it. I just think he's better now. He's just like a better version of this. Now, how much better, it's up to, it's going to be difficult to really say, but I will put up a comparison video. I think maybe the best way to explain it is that I'm much more compelled to tier 4 him. Now, I like zombies. I think it's cool. I do already have a lot of combat tier 4s, but I'm still kind of compelled to tier 4 him because I think he's good enough, basically. He's very close to meeting my minimum threshold for just tier 4ing a cool character. And sadly, Apocalypse meets my minimum threshold probably more than Zombie Cap, but Apocalypse is just like, oh man, he's so bad. Whereas at least Cap, I know, is going to bring some value in certain content, even though he can't necessarily be the meta best for any piece of content. So I still think he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. But I think he's just better at what he does now. And I'm exactly rank 1000, which is pretty funny. For Falcon and Wong, Falcon, obviously he's a support, so I don't expect big things from him. We'll have to wait and see, but he's probably not very good. He's got a really sad-looking rotation where you can't cancel out of his 4th skill. In Wong's case, I feel like they definitely could have done more for him on the PvE, or not the PvE side of things, the damage side of things, at least at level 70. At level 70, you're not going to notice a difference between these two uniforms, which I think is pretty nuts because they're, 2 years apart. So I think that is a bit disappointing. Now, obviously, at level 80, at tier 4, that's not necessarily the same thing. It's a different story. They did add iframe ignore to his 2nd skill, which I do appreciate. So they did add some new buffs. It's not just a copy one-to-one. It's not a visual upgrade. But at the same time, he plays kind of the same way. He does very low damage, and I'm not really that happy with it. But he is still a support type. Support characters at tier 4 are relevant in some way. So, I think he pairs really well with Doctor Strange, obviously. And maybe like Doctor Doom. But again, that depends on your roster and sort of how you're feeling things out there. As far as the rest of the update goes, obviously, the first thing people are going to want to talk about is the new game mode, Zombie Survival. I think the devs cooked. I'll have full videos out on this, multiple videos out on this, but I think this is a good game mode. It feels enough like Marvel Future Fight, but it also feels different, and it feels so much less hectic because of the fact that you are limited to just a few skills. So yes, there is this sort of calculation that goes into it about which characters to use, and there will be theory crafting and optimization for the best characters for each season because of the skill restrictions, absolutely. But in addition to that, you just have like a different way of playing. Positioning matters more. Certain skills that have certain cones or like areas of effect matter more. And it also balances out between needing DPS characters and needing support. So the reserve characters, I encourage you, if you're struggling with this game mode, put a bunch of support characters in your reserve that will apply to the starting characters. I know that part of Coulson's buffs don't apply to Strange and Wong because they're villains, but we're calculating for that. But yeah, I'm actually going to try this team next, I believe, just to give you guys a little hint. We're going to swap for Hela tier 4, and I think we're going to maybe swap out Wong for a different support buff. But yeah, I think this content really provides a lot of different options, and what's really nice about this content, you can see I'm rank 2, is it brings back one of the best parts that I completely forgot about for squad battle, which is that you are paired with 50 random players for the week. And what that means is you have a much higher chance, if you care and if you grind and whatever, and you're playing the game competitively in some way, not that you're a whale, but if you're just grinding and you're competitive, there's a good chance that at the end of the week, you're going to get bonus tokens for being a high-ranked player. So you can see there you get an extra 50 tokens if you're just doing the absolute bare minimum. But if you can, say, get into the top 10, that's an extra 400 tokens on top of the 400 plus tokens that you get every single week from the challenges. You get over 400 tokens from the challenges. So that means at minimum, you can farm almost 1,000 tokens a week. Now, what that means when you go over to the store is it means that you can buy out every single week both the Carbonadium and the Soul of the Faltine. So this represents an additional 300 Carbo and Soul of the Faltine every single week, which is an additional 1,200 every single month. Now that, again, that doesn't seem like a lot, but we're getting to that point now where if you combine the rewards from this and you combine the 600 that you can get per month from Otherworld Battle, you're talking about almost 2,000 Carbonadium and Soul of the Faltine, almost 2,000 per month, every single month from 2 game modes. That's halfway or almost halfway to a tier 4. That's not even calculating GBR, World Boss, login events, and other content. So we're getting to the point where there's enough tier 4 materials to go around. We can start popping out tier 4s. Like, as players, we can start ranking up tier 4s with a bit less scrutiny than before, because, you know, the resources are not so scarce. So I'm really happy to see that. The big criticism, of course, of this game mode is 20 crystals a week. No daily quests. I think no daily quests was a mistake. I think they should have at least a couple of dailies. But I think the 20 crystals is the biggest mistake. I think they certainly should have bumped that up to, 25. I think it should be 25 crystals each minimum. I think that's the minimum, is 25 crystals each. So you get 50 crystals a week. Again, 50 crystals a week, man, that's 200 crystals a month. That still takes you 4 to 5 months to get a free uniform. You're really not giving players a whole lot if you're giving them 50 crystals a week. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really not that much. So I think they should have started at 25 and then judged the players' feedback. I personally think this should bump up to like 40. I think 40 crystals a week is probably where it's good. You get 80 crystals, like 40 crystals each, right? So that's not 20 and 20, but 40 and 40. 40 crystals a week, which is 320 crystals a month. Again, that takes you like 80 crystals a week is nothing, man, right? 80 crystals a week is nothing. It's still going to take you close to 3 months, a little bit over 3 months to get a uniform. That's just not a lot, right? You're like, if players dedicate themselves to this game mode, you're promising them an extra 4 uniforms a year, or like two seasonal uniforms a year, 2 of the male seasonal uniforms a year. Anyways, yeah, that's the only big downside that I think some people are going to be off-put by, for sure. But I really like this game mode. Otherwise, I think it's very, very good and fun. And I'm excited to not only build characters for it so that I can lock in those gains every week, at least for the first few months. I want to lock in those 1,000 tokens every month and bankroll a nice cushion on tokens for when they inevitably improve this shop and add more stuff. Actually, I want to see, does the Enchanted Uru chest... No, it doesn't contain Odin's Blessings, but the other one does. So yeah, I really like that as well. And then just overall with the update, a couple of the other things are not easy to show because they happen on the live stream and they don't get triggered again. But for example, when you trigger Timeline Survival for the first time, you get this little intro, which this time is Spider-Man. Was it Spider-Man? I think it was Spider-Man talking about... It was either Spider-Man... There's one video, there's one little like cutscene where Spider-Man is talking about how New York is getting overrun by zombies. And then he talks about like Aunt May, and it's really poignant. And then there's another clip, I think maybe that's the one for Timeline Survival, where Hulk is, talking about trying to find a cure and trying to... he's actually not trying to find a cure. He's trying to do something else. I won't spoil it for you. But it's just really cool how they integrated this update so deeply into the existing content in the game. It really makes the game feel so much more like, okay, now it's zombie themed for a while. And I think that's fantastic. I think they really did a great job. Again, it's a little bit unfortunate, I would say, that, for example, with the uniform collection already being confirmed, we know that we can't get Spider-Man with the Doctor Strange, cape. But yeah, It's okay. On the other hand, you can also see ahead what's to come. We've got 3 token events lined up here. The What If Zombies token event, which we know will start in a few days, and it'll have the P card, etc. We have the Infected Bioweapon event token, which a lot of people are scrambling to interpret as, you know, oh, it means null tier 4. Oh, it means abomination. It means this. It means that. We don't know, right? Infected Bioweapon does sound really cool, though. I'm not going to lie. And then we have the Creepy Halloween token, which I think this is going to be the paid token for like the tokens for the seasonal uniforms, but we'll have to wait and see. For those of you wondering about the seasonal tokens or the seasonal uniforms, the new ones and also the old ones returning like Black Bolt and Ghost Rider and Sin and Morgan Le Fay, they should be out in 2 weeks. So I think that puts them for the 29th of October. Yeah, the 29th/30th of October, they should be coming out. Last thing I want to talk about here is the web shop. So we had a notice of a suspension on some of the sales already in the web shop. This is just a few hours ago. There basically was a bug where you could buy items more times than they were allowed to be sold. It would keep charging your credit card, but then they wouldn't appear on your account. So they've apparently solved this now and it's fixed. But if that happened to you, you have to submit a one-to-one inquiry with the customer support to kind of get I don't know, what you need to get a refund on that, or do you need to get those items sent to you you know, soon. On the other hand, we have the web shop itself. I think it's pretty underwhelming for the amount of time that they hyped it up and for the amount of time that they had to delay it. They really should have done a better job. It doesn't look very inviting. It looks very sterile and like kind of unfun. And it also is pretty unclear what's going on. And yeah, it just like, I'm not saying they need to create like some epic slot machine for us to come here and gamble or whatever, because this is, you know, you're spending real money on a game. But at the same time, they really could have spruced it up a little bit. They also could and probably should add more interesting deals. There's really only 2 things to buy here that are even worth mentioning, because literally everything else is available in the shop, in the game. So the only reason why you would buy it here is for the 10% discount. But keep in mind, the 10% discount gets given to you 2 weeks from the date of purchase. It doesn't get given to you on the date of purchase, which is the first kind of weird thing. And then those points disappear after 30 days. So if you're not a regular spender, it's not a good idea to spend a lot of money here in the web shop. So be careful with that. That being said, these 2 exclusive packs are good, right? You have 200 crystal bonus packs, so you have almost 1,000 crystals for $4 Canadian, which is like $2 or $3 US. That's obviously insanely good. If that was in the game in the game shop, I would tell you the same thing. I'm not just like trying to hype up the web shop. And then this one is potentially good for players who have uniforms that they need to buy, because it's $14 Canadian for 440 crystals and a uniform ticket and a Transcendent Selector. Now, the Transcendent Selector is like, okay, it's worth like whatever, $2, $3, but the uniform ticket is worth another 1,000 crystals, right? So you're basically getting 1,500, almost 1,600 crystals for that much, plus you get the Transcendent Selector. Again, keep in mind these uniform tickets don't work on uniforms from this update, so they won't work on Wong, Falcon, or Cap, and they also don't work on native tier 2s or native tier 3s, so they're not going to work on Sentry, they're not going to work on Doctor Strange at all, or Jean at all, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, besides those 2, everything else is just whatever, or it's just like the Stark Stash. So yeah, I think that they should have worked harder on this before releasing it. I don't think it's going to make the big time money that they're hoping for. Maybe they'll have interesting things for Black Friday. It's cool that they have it done ahead of Black Friday, ahead of time, so that, you know, that's the case. But I think it's kind of underwhelming right now, and yeah, I think some people are kind of let down by that. But that's good. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, oh, the gambling web shop is not good. Whatever, man. The game itself is good. The game itself is in a better place than it's been in a long time. We got a brand new game mode, brand new rewards, more tier 4 materials. I think, you know, moving into the end of the year, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play Marvel Future Fight and to grind through and build up my roster even more. So I'm really excited for that. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content. I'll be hitting you up with more videos ASAP. Take care.